Now, there's another story I want us to talk about. Now, Monshe, the way things are happening. Now, and the story, this is the story. Kusi Boateng. Now, the story making headlines, and I say around now, say the secretary to the board of National Cathedral Secretariat, Reverend Kusi Boateng, has filed an order of injunction against the MP. And when you read the caption down there, he says, Reverend Kusi Boateng injuncts Ablakwa from further publications on him. So I'm for the Ayɛka say, Reverend Kusi Boateng, and then Wake Dream. Now, before I go there, there's something that I noticed. Mr. S, if you can find a document from NIA and NIA, they were responding to the Ghana card issue of Ablakwa. They said, Kusi Boateng is a former secretary. I am sure I saw that. Mr. S, read that document right now. If what I am saying, I'm very sure, because when I read stuff, I don't just forget. Just pick the document out and let's see, because NIA for letter, no, they put something there like the former secretary to the National Cathedral. And I want to know, because today I told my guys to look at the National Cathedral trustees, Aya Joyce Aya is no more on that list. But it's something that we'll deal with next week. But I'm curious, is Kusi Boateng or Edu Jemfi still the secretary to the cathedral? We want to know, because the National Identification Authority for statement, I saw something like the former secretary to the National. Just check it for me. Now, yes, sorry, Kotia, so I'm for, yes, say Kusi Boateng, and AKA Edu Jemfi say, Wako court. And they say, when I'm in Madame Fubika. Kusi Boateng say, Wako court. Aden wakoje injunction bi. Abeto if you court no so the man aden on pese akuja to Ablakwa be can asem for the next 10 days. But you know the interesting thing, the judge granted it. Like, we are living in a country I say Nkoko the dear, so no, a certain judge, a woman, Emma Kusi Boateng aka Chasamwa was a DNDU or any lawyers a court I catch a judge and say, many of them Kusi Boateng no. Me name a lawyer ni. Me mpesa Ablakwa be come asem for the next 10 days or so. So me document and chesa Ablakwa any sort of baby abo me din for. Like, and a judge they say okay. Je neko. Ma Ablakwa mbo din 10 days. Now, this is the judge we are talking about here. Her name is Barbara Tete Chawe. We need justice way. You find justice of the High Court. A Justice Barbara Tete Highway. So your leadership was at the end. This is the woman who said, yes, Kusi Boateng, you have a case. The member of parliament who is doing his oversight, taking care of his oversight responsibility, who is trying to investigate the criminality around the cathedral, the double identification, the stealing of money, the conflict of interest, the contract blowing of COVID money. This judge sat there, Oba waits now, say, yes, nobody should talk about Kusi Boateng. Jesus Christ. Now, do you know this lady? I'm trying to see if Mr. S sent me something. All right, S, you didn't get it, fine. So, somebody is saying something here. This one's coming from a friend. He's not a secretary, but rather Godfrey Dame, Attorney General is the secretary. You see the Attorney General, maybe I can't confirm this, but they say Godfrey Dame is the secretary to the cathedral. Okay, if you get there. So this lady said, yes, I've heard you, Kusi. Don't talk too much. If I take this document, put this injunction on Ablakwa, the member of parliament cannot speak about you. Judge we. Now, do you know the history about this woman? This woman was appointed in 2013. She's trying to catch the eye of the president. Or Supreme Court. Now, this woman, in her judgment, consistently, when you sit back, you ask yourself, say, is she basically working at the Attorney General's office? Is she a prosecutor? She's a judge, right? Now, I'm in Chama Debbie. Sosu, Mokai Sosu case, This was the same woman. And case now. Sorry. So, Mokai, this is the same woman time and sosu injunction against IGP in cover time and motata and mokai. This is the woman Nana Oti cases or dismissal or something. This is the same judge, Barbara. Now it doesn't end there. She was the same woman at time Madame Paramotata Sosu. Do you remember that case? Now Sosu is trying to go to court to get an injunction and all the intellectual whatever. This was the same judge. This was the same lady who prevented it. Now, this is the same woman. SIM card registration. Barbara N. Techawi. When people were challenging the legitimacy of the Ghana card, or in a blockade, it is the same woman. So you see the pattern. One, while SIM card, people challenging the legitimacy of the SIM card also no. When Sosu needed that protection, this woman said no. Time on IGP, and then the boy is not Sosu. Call Madina call number someone arrested and this woman said IGP can go on and do that. This is the same woman today. Also granting Kusi. Say Kusi should walk and that Okudjata Blakwa should not speak about him. It is the same judge, this woman. Barbara Tete Chawi. Onyini no say, ni teacher be the catch and so be to my lawyer or say judge. Into do tertiary no. And also ni teacher kind of into okoye lawyer or okoye judge. And into no judiciary mu. Now one shada in siandi ebia there. The teacher be the catch no. So dear, si be our casano, obey a judge, papa obey a lawyer, edo da BPA. Foot soldier. Do you know, sir, before Akufo-Addo came to power, there was nothing like picking judges politically. Do you know that? Like most of the judges who were picked, this judge was picked 2013, a year brew and a swim in. People were picked like they looked at people's competency, people's experience. Judges were picked on experience, competency, their track record. Until Akufo-Addo bought power, they would say foot soldiers all can be judges. So people did not even check whether they are NPP or NDC. You could see during the NDC time, they were appointing reasonably. Kufuor reasonably did that. Atamus reasonably. Mahama, you could see people were picked. Not because they were NPP or NDC. They were picked because they qualified to be picked. So all these minds, they were in there. They were waiting for their time. Because Oma will say Kufuor Beko. They need to catch the eye of the president, do the president bidding for him. Into every nonsense. Are you not shocked that every case like that, the question somebody's asking you, madam, are you bribable? One day this question will come back again. All right, now let's move forward a little bit.
Now, let me take you back a bit. In the year 2020, in one of the addresses of the President Nado, he promised the good people of this country that he was going to build 88 district hospitals, if you recall. 88.
That was that initial one before the
exactly.
One. Yeah.
88 district hospitals. And that he gave us a timeline that at the end of 2020, he was going to complete the 88 hospitals. Now, at the end of 2020, not a single one was completed.
But your own camp also made it clear that it was an impossibility. If I recall, some of the rhetoric that came from the minority.
So they were vindicated. Because if they say you cannot build 88 in 1 year, even you build 5. And let's say, okay, after all, you couldn't build 88, so you have built even 5. At the end of the day, the minority was vindicated. Because we know the kind of people leading us at the moment. Now, he then, after 2020 elections, increased the promise from 88 to 111. And that's how come we have Agenda 111. When we started, and don't forget, the 88 was announced somewhere in April 2020. Take note of that point. The 88 was announced somewhere in April 2020. Now, when the Agenda 111 was announced, the Agenda 111 was moved. All the health infrastructure has always been managed by the Ministry of Health. So they moved the Agenda 111 from the Ministry of Health to the presidency, where I thought that the due diligence and the feasibility studies will be top-notch. Okay? So there are instances where media houses such as Joy FM or Joy News
YouTube. Hot
have
news
written
all time.
to the ministry for information on Agenda 111, and they will write back to tell you that they have no information on Agenda 111 because the Agenda 111 is not in that ministry.
You mean you write to the health ministry? And the health ministry
will write to you that they have no information on Agenda 111 because it is not in that ministry. I mean, can contact your college
ministry.
So that is what I'm
overseeing.
Okay. So now there is no ministry overseeing Agenda 111. They have formed a whole bureaucratic system, a whole secretariat called Agenda 111 Secretariat. They are using land cruisers and what have you at the presidency, led by the chief of staff.
Credit to Joy News. You saw it there. Now, they are not okay. Agenda 111 no, and a year 88 hospitals no. Quickly, we just want to ask MPP4 hospitals na way. Agenda 111 we want to see where they are, and this is a conversation we will have from Monday. We are going to take our time and break it down for Ghana for who a tro and a chronoa ekufuado Bawumia Alankash kwasafo maka nyina omabomo. There is no way any reasonable Ghanaian should even think of voting for NPP. Bring in the NDC and we will get all these things out. They will make sure say baby musika go share be. That is the worry of the NPP. Now ekufuado bejina 111666 111 ni ya no boa omo diskano 88 no ontumi simu ba akokra. Now the document shows say, and from Monday no I will break it down for you people to know say even from now to 2025 no dodo omo betume see. From 2025 to 2027, dodo omo betume see. 2027 to 2030. Inti sa agenda 111 omo twa montroso omo see before 2024 no omo boa. Sa 88 hospitals no bakumpo munsiye. La General Hospital ompo inform sanka. So these are the things I also want to say. NPP as a political party no ma bodam party way, especially go from the anyway unim nyansa. So I Ghana now kwa bontre kwatuma NPP na wankasa no so wadwen bibi how because what adibi oma ye bi oma nye eno magye musika so edi.